Hello, it's Jay here again and welcome to another tutorial. In this lesson we're picking up exactly where we left off in the last lesson, where we'd inputted code that will make the script wait for either the impact or attack animation to finish playing before switching out to the relevant state, the other blocks. So let's come below here. So as I said, if one of these animations is playing, then the script will do nothing and return, so it will return to the start of this function. But if they're not playing, the script will continue to read down to the bottom here of this function, which is where we'll input the code to switch out to the relevant state. But first things first, I'm actually going to come to the run block to begin with. And I'm actually going to change this variable here, and I'm going to copy it from the idle block, and I'm just going to change this to _ply dist. And as you can see, we have a red error here where we need to change it as well, and we'll just change it in the comments here because I want to keep all the naming conventions the same. And we'll just hit save, and now we can copy this line from the run block where we create this float. So we'll copy it and we'll paste it in there. So now we have a reference to the player's distance, the player's position in relation to the enemy game object. And with that said, we can come here and we can copy all this from the idle block if _ply distance is less than run radius. And we'll paste that in there, but in this case we want to change this to attack radius. So if player's distance is less than, and we'll change the comment attack radius, which means it's inside the enemy's attack radius, inside its reach, then we need to change the enemy state to attack, because the player is still in a position where it can be attacked. And we'll change out the comment, and then we'll just say else, open, and we'll close brackets. But if the player is not inside the attack radius, so it's not in a position where it can be attacked, then we need to change it to the idle function and allow it to cycle through to whichever block is applicable. So we'll change it there to idle, and we'll just save that off there. So if one of the animations is playing, do nothing and return to the start of this function. If it's not playing, if neither an attack or impact animation is playing, get the player's position based on its distance from the enemy game object. If the player is inside the attack radius, set enemy state to attack, else set it to idle and let it cycle through to the relevant state. And we can actually input some code at the bottom of the run block here, and we'll actually copy all this block and we'll paste it into the run here. We can actually get rid of the else function, and we can actually get rid of the idle. Remember, we already get a reference to the player's distance and position here, and in this case, even if the enemy is operating inside the run block, if the player enters the attack radius, then set enemy state to attack. And we'll just save it there and we'll go and test it out. Now please bear in mind, once the enemy switches to the attack block, there's no code, so the enemy game object is just going to freeze at that point. But we just want to see if everything else is working up until that point. So let's move towards the enemy, and the finite state machine started. It began in the initialize, switched to wait for animations, and because neither an impact or attack animation was playing, it switched to idle. Let's move towards it. It switches to run, and we'll stop it there. As you can see, it's froze when it's switched to the attack block because there's no code in this block as yet, but obviously we'll be inputting that code at a later date. And I think now you can understand why we create a finite state machine as our script expands. As you can see, we have a lot of code, and I think it becomes obvious how this helps to optimize your game. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope to see you next time, and until then, bye for now.